tomorrow because that shit will be loud.
Welcome to the Overwatch What's New panel.
How you guys doing?
Love Blizzcon.
I love you too. You guys gotten a chance to play yet? Yeah. All right. Because with me, I have two very special guests. I have Arnold Sang. He's the assistant art director on Overwatch. This is the guy who drew every single one of those heroes you saw in that lineup. Arnold Sang.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
And we have Jeff Goodman here, who is the lead hero designer. He was also, little trivia for you. Anybody here play World of Warcraft? This is the guy who made Onyxia, Cthulhu, Nefarian, the Lich King, every one of those You gotta like one of them. If you ever wondered if Onyxia's deep breath had changed, ask Jeff. Right. He was the guy.
Put a little random thing and change it every time.
All right, so we have a lot of stuff to cover with you guys. We're going to give you a quick update on how the beta is going. We're going to talk about the big console announcement. We're going to run through the new map, Hollywood, that we talked about today. And probably what everybody's the most excited about is to hear about the new heroes. So the beta, let's talk about that. So we pulled these stats as of Tuesday, which was a week of the beta running. We started October 27th. We didn't want to make the PowerPoint too close to the date of the panel here. So as of Tuesday, we had 82,000 matches played. So this was already, as of yesterday, over 130,000 or something like that. So the people in the beta are playing a ton. We're learning a ton from it. We're looking at our matchmaker, we're gauging our servers, and we're also seeing a lot of balance changes that we want to do in the future. And Jeff will talk a little bit about some of that stuff, maybe during the Q&A. So the average match length, did I scare you with the balance changes? It's perfectly balanced. We have an announcement. It didn't leak on Reddit. The game is perfectly balanced.
That's right. I can leave that. We're done here.
Everybody please tweet that right now. Okay, average match length. Who has a guess? Close. 4 minutes, 10 and a half. Average match length, 7 minutes and 34 seconds. Okay. There's your important statistic of the day to remember. Okay. Who do you think is the most played hero in Overwatch?
Hey, Reaper, Tracer.
Reaper. I'm hearing a lot of Reaper.
Yeah, Reaper as well.
You, unfortunately, are incorrect. It is Pharah.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of...
perfectly balanced, so it's all right.
Yeah. I think it's all the old school tribes and Quake 3 players out there.
Level rocket launcher.
That's definitely my most played hero. He's awesome.
Yeah, Pharah's pretty good. Okay. Who do you think you should have on your team if you want your team to have the best chance of winning?
Bastion.
I'm hearing
Mercy and Bastion is what I'm hearing.
Those are the two I hear.
Okay, this one's a sleeper. Symmetra.
Bam.
Insanely powerful. And it's not because of the teleporter, it's those shields. Those shields are really, really good.
She's very strong.
Yeah, so we're learning a lot from the beta. We're gathering tons of data and statistics. We'll try to share more of that stuff with you guys as it progresses. But let's talk about console a little bit. That was a huge announcement. How many of you guys are Xbox One and PlayStation 4 players?
All right.
We're really excited to bring this game to consoles. We felt like with Reaper of Souls, we learned what enthusiasm there was behind playing Blizzard games on console. I mean, Blizzard games started on console after all. So it's going to be really great. We feel like we're going to speak to a large audience. I wanted to answer a few things about console for people. One, when we started to make Overwatch, a lot of people asked, like, oh, you decided to port the game to console at some point. That was never the case. When we started to develop Overwatch, it was our goal from day one to have this game playable on console. It was kind of a dream of ours. And in a weird way, designing the game so it felt great on a console controller almost put like this enforced design elegance on us. Like you really thought about how many buttons are we going to add and what is the control scheme going to be for this sort of thing. So we had a little funny snafu that happened in the beta. It was a little bit controversial where people were wondering, why is there aim assist on the gamepad controller? And if you notice, we turned it off right away. We're like, oops, our bad. And it was really funny that nobody went, wait a second, this thing's probably coming to console. That's why it was there. The other thing about console that we think is going to be really amazing is we're going to do full integration with Xbox Live and PlayStation Network. You guys will be able to play this game in the comforts of your living room. And just to sort of preempt a question that I know is out there, console players and PC players are not going to play against one another. They're their own separate ecosystems. So, PC players will only play with PC players, Xbox One players will only play against Xbox One players, and PlayStation 4 players will only play against PlayStation 4 players. So that's the way console is going to work. Hollywood, the new map that we introduced. So I think this one was a curveball for a lot of people. We started sending that teaser out. We sent a teaser out of that space movie poster. And a lot of people wonder, well, why Hollywood? The truth is, we feel like there's a fantasy behind locations, whether you've been there or not, that really defines Overwatch. We want the real world to be the setting for our game, but we want it to be the Blizzardized version of the real world. So what that pretty much means is our version of Hollywood is one in which you won't get shanked. No, I'm just... so, that's only funny for people from California. Right. From everybody else in the world, they're like, yeah, Hollywood looks beautiful, it's gorgeous. But there's a real fantasy behind sort of going through Hollywood, and I think a lot of us harken back to Hollywood of yesteryear and how cool it was. So the map starts off, you're on the streets of Hollywood Boulevard. There's a lot of fun stars to look at on the ground. Then you make your way to Goldshire Studios. It was the one studio name that we were able to find where we weren't going to get sued for using it. So,
or argue about
or at least
forever.
maybe the WoW team is going to sue us for it. But so you go to Goldshire Studios. Obviously, you've got somewhat of a choke point here. We've found players in the beta evolving. Like early on, there's a lot of feedback. Like chokes are impossible. I don't know why you have them. Well, guess what? Farah can just fly over it, and Tracer can blink 30 meters through it. So trying to play the map like it's DE Dust is probably not the best idea. Just pro tip, I'm no pro gamer, but anyway, so after you get through the studio, you go to the Hollywood backlot portion of it. And this is really fun if you've ever been on a Hollywood studio backlot. They're all facaded. From a gameplay standpoint, there's a lot of cool overhangs and balconies. So when you play Reaper on this map, you take totally different routes through the map. You kind of stick to the interiors under the overhangs, but someone like Farah or Widowmaker is spending most of their time on the rooftops. So it's a really fun gameplay style. Personally, I only play McCree when my team is in the backlot area. And I pretty much role play it the whole time. But
his ragdoll falls over the railing. It's like
yeah, that's like the opposite of the pro tip. Like the best way to play Overwatch is just role play the whole time. I do that with Hanzo a lot. So then afterwards, you make your way into the soundstage where they happen to be filming almost this retro space movie that we think is really cool. There's somewhat of an Easter egg in this screenshot. Our favorite film director of all time is, we've called out a little call out to him. So on the back of that director's chair is Jeff Chamberlain, the guy who directed the announcement cinematic that we showed last year at BlizzCon, in case you were wondering. And then finally, you make your way, the final point, what you're doing in this map is you're escorting a payload, and that payload is a famous Omnic director who has a heavy price on his head, because Omnic human relations are very strained in the world of Overwatch. And this director's name is Halfred Glitchbot. For a while, we explored using names like Robot Downey Jr. and then there was Robot De Niro. We really weren't creative. Yeah, Robot Redford and all of that. So, in our efforts to stay legally cool with everybody, right? We have Halfred Glitchbot, and you get him to the end here, and it's a lot of fun. The trailer's got another Easter egg on it. It's Tyrael is the brand there. You also see cameras in the map that are Kilrog brand. So we thought Hollywood was a really fun map. We hope you guys have as much fun with it as we do. We want there to be a big variance in Overwatch locations. So you have very serious locations like Watchpoint Gibraltar, but then some fun locations, lighthearted, like the arcade in Hanamura, where you can smash arcade machines while you wait for the match to start, or Hollywood itself. But what you're probably the most excited to hear about is the 3 new heroes. So there's nobody better to talk about these than the 2 gentlemen on my left. Arnold, Jeff, why don't you walk us through them?
Thanks, Jeff. So the first hero we want to talk about is Mei. Now, if you guys remember from the opening, the cinematic of Overwatch last year, Overwatch is about soldiers, scientists, adventurers, oddities. Now, we have a lot of soldiers in Overwatch. We even have a guy called Soldier 76. We got, Cowboy McCree. We got all these badass heroes. We needed more scientists and adventurers. That's where Mei comes in. She'd probably fit right in with the League of Explorers. So Mei is a peerless climatologist. She works as a scientist for Overwatch. And in addition to, saving the world from the Omnic crisis and all these other military threats, Overwatch is also looking at other threats that might threaten humanity, such as environmental threats. So to do that, they've set up all these eco-watch points throughout the globe. So Mei was stationed with a team at Eco-Watch Point Antarctica, and they were doing research there on the South Pole, all that stuff. And when there was a polar ice storm that cut them off from the rest of humanity, they lost communication with Overwatch. They were stranded, running out of supplies. So what Mei did, being the brilliant scientist that she is, she took all their equipment and rigged up this cryostasis chamber and put everybody in cryostasis to wait for rescue. The thing is, nobody came to rescue them. Years passed. Overwatch was disbanded. The Omnic crisis was over, and the world changed around her. And one day, Mei was eventually discovered, but she realized that her crew, she was the only survivor. And the world had changed around her. All the eco-watch points have been shut down. And now she basically travels the world, going to all of these eco-watch points, trying to turn them back on, trying to collect the data, and try to fight all the different threats that might threaten our planet. So a little bit about how we came to this design. One of the things we always wanted to do with Overwatch was introduce the mechanic of ice and freezing people. We thought that was so cool. Just freezing people, making them slow down, making ice walls, and she does all of that stuff. Shoots icicles at you. I mean, Jeff will talk more about that later. So to do that, we really wanted a silhouette that captured somebody that plays with ice and is from somewhere really cold. So you see a lot of cool, badass poses in the Overwatch lineup. So we really wanted something that stood out. We gave her a big poofy jacket with a big parka hood. And then we gave her this big ice cannon. But then we realized, looking back, she looked a lot like another hero in the lineup, Zarya. She also had a big 2-handed white-colored cannon, big poofy pants and boots. So we went back to the drawing board. We explored a little bit, and did a couple sketches. And we did a sketch where she was just kind of casually hanging out, and we gave her glasses just for fun. And the team really loved it. We really resonated with the team, and we really felt it was a really adorable way to portray this brilliant scientist out to save the world. So we rolled with that, and that evolved our design to what you see in the final concept here. And she also has you can kind of see it over her shoulder there. She's got a little drone called Snowball, which follows her around in her adventures. I mean, she basically travels alone to all these eco-watch points, gets pretty lonely, so her little buddy kind of just travels with her, and he's also like this weather manipulation bot. But all that gameplay stuff, Jeff's going to get into it. He's way more suitable to talk about that stuff, so I'll let Jeff take it from here.
Sure. Yeah, so let's talk about May's gameplay. She was super interesting to make. As Arden said, we kind of came at her from this perspective of we're looking at our whole roster, and you have characters like Widowmaker. She's like this ruthless assassin, and we have Soldier 76, a hardened soldier, and like we don't really have anybody who's sort of like almost in a way doesn't belong, but she's there, and she's like, I'm here. It was an interesting challenge to incorporate that into the gameplay as well. And it actually opened up a lot of opportunities for us because she plays very different than pretty much every other hero we have so far. And that she's actually really hard to kill. She doesn't dish out a ton of damage, but she really assists and sets up her team for like these amazing team moves. And so getting right into it right here. Her gun is called the Endothermic Blaster. It's like that one-handed gun she has right there. It sprays this sort of freezing liquid. It's kind of on the canister on her back. It comes from there. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but if you can hold it on people for long enough, they get like progressively slower and slower, and then they eventually just freeze, and then they're stunned for a little while. And again, she doesn't do that much damage, but that freeze effect is amazing to set up your team, or if they're low or something, you can finish them pretty easily. It also has an alternate fire. If you press the alternate fire, she like freezes a little icicle inside the gun and shoots that off like a shard of ice. It's really accurate. It's a little hard to aim because you have to like set it up. You click it and it does a little bit of delay before it fires, but people are getting really good at it already, I could tell. Her first ability is Ice Wall, which you guys hopefully saw on the opening ceremony trailer. It's amazing. It's super fun to play with. It literally creates a wall. It's like like part of the level almost. I mean, it blocks line of sight and projectiles and movement collision. It's everything. It's just, people can climb on it. Hanzo and Lucio can like skate along it. It's just really fun. It also is kind of flat on the top, so you can build it under yourself or under teammates and lift them up, which is like sounds like kind of a neat trick, maybe not useful, but we found like just getting a Bastion to a spot where he can't normally get to is like super surprised to the enemy team. Like, how did he get up there? What is that? So it just opens up a whole lot of opportunities for a team. It's really fun. Second ability is called Cryo Freeze. For those of you guys, sounds like a lot of you played WoW. You know about a Frost Mage, but a little spell called Ice Block. It's very similar to that. It's basically Ice Block. She can save herself instantly from danger, and she creates this sort of solid block around her, and that block will block projectiles, and same thing as her wall. You know, Reinhardt charges you, and you hit it, he'll actually impact you and stop, so he won't like go through you and hit your team or whatever, so it's actually a good way to jump in front of him and stop him for your team. Her ultimate is called Blizzard, because it wouldn't be a Blizzard game if we don't have an ability called Blizzard in it, apparently. She throws her robot Snowball off, and cute little robot makes a bunch of noises, goes up in the air and starts spraying. Very similar sort of attack that her primary fire does, but it sprays in a large area and starts freezing everybody. And it's kind of the same effect as her primary fire. They get progressively slower, and it also stacks with her primary fire. So if you get in there while your ult's going off, you can kind of freeze them extra fast with your gun and set everybody up. It's an amazing team play move. The stun lasts quite a while if you can get everyone in there, and then you can have any of your team go in there and clean up. We have a bunch of videos that we've made to show off a lot of the gameplay for all of our heroes, so no better way to show it than show these videos. I'll show it here.
Don't move! Going up! Don't住，不许走！ You were asking for it. This will stop them. 动作不许走。Sorry about that.
At least she's sorry.
I know. She apologized.
So that was May, and again, you can see these videos on YouTube, and they're running at the Overwatch booth as well. So the second hero we like to talk about is D.Va. So D.Va is an ex-pro gamer who now pilots this awesome mech in defense of her homeland. So with the Omnic crisis, there was a lot of different manifestations around the world. You know, in Russia, they got attacked by all these Bastion units and spider tanks. But over on the Pacific side of things, it manifested in a different way. There was, out in the South China Sea, under the water, there was this Omnium, this factory where they create Omnics. But instead of creating a horde of Omnics, there was a giant Omnic that came out and attacked the Korean peninsula. So what the Korean army did was they formed a group called MECA, which stands for Mobile Exo Squad of the Korean Army. And what they did was they had all these drones that defended the city against this giant Omnic. But this Omnic would go back into the ocean and come back every now and then, evolved and learning from what he encountered last time. So he would upgrade himself and eventually disrupted the transmission of the drones and turned them against the Korean army. So what they did was they developed these piloted mechs. And these things, they're like lightweight and they're really agile, so they can maneuver around, you know, the skyscrapers of the cities while defending against this giant Omnic. And because they have pilots, they're able to withstand any jamming from the Omnic technology. And who better for the pilots than to go to the country's most top elite gamers like D.Va herself. So D.Va is a pro gamer. She's, you know, multiple-time world champion at StarCraft, all different kind of games. Everything that she plays, she's basically a pro.
StarCraft 6.
StarCraft 6.
That's right.
So she plays to win. She gets in the mech, and it's basically like a game to her. She's just, you know, really competitive, and she's out there to take out all the Omnics. So one of the things when we first started developing Overwatch, and we have hero ideation meetings, and one of the types of heroes we always talked about was, oh, it'd be cool to have a hero that jumps in a mech and comes back out. And, you know, just having a mech hero in the game is something that everybody really wanted to do. So we did a lot of sketches, and the first one that really spoke to the team was this little girl in a little pink mech. We thought it was really cute, but then once we started visualizing her in the game, it felt a little weird for the little girl to be running around the battlefield. So we evolved it a little bit. We went back, we iterated, and as you can see in number 2, somebody had hooked this awesome idea of what if she's a pro gamer, and what if she like kind of streams while she's in the battlefield taking down Omnics. And that was such an awesome idea. So we iterated the design, made it a little bit chunkier, put all these sponsor logos on it, and we thought we really had something cool. So we kind of distilled it. We made the mech even more big and chunky. As you can see in number 3, we really wanted you to have that feeling of piloting this super heavy mech, these big cannons. And then one day, after this design went, everybody was super happy with it, like the feeling of it. Jeff comes to my desk and he's like, you know that super huge heavy mech that we designed?
That everyone's happy with?
That everybody's happy with? We want to make her fly.
Right.
So I was like, okay, this isn't really, she looked so heavy and so grounded that it felt kind of weird just putting rocket boosters on her. So we went back to the drawing board. As you can see, number 4, there's another iteration. She started getting really, really big. And one of the interesting challenges of designing her was it's almost like you take one of the biggest heroes in our game, like Reinhardt or Roadhog, and you put Tracer inside them. And how can we have that fit and still work within the scale of the game? So that was a really interesting challenge. But we ended up with number 5, you can see on the right there, the final design, which I think is really cool. We added her little cockpit bubble, which is actually has gameplay implications, like it's her crit spot. It's like getting a headshot. But anyway, I think Jeff's going to go over some more of her abilities.
Absolutely. So as Arn said, this is a character we've been wanting to make for a long time, and we iterated on it for a while. The big thing was we wanted a character who isn't just like a big mech and she's in it and then that's it, she dies and she just flies away or something, or maybe she dies. We really wanted to create this character that can exist both in the mech and out of the mech, which was a pretty tricky design, but it was pretty fun to work on. So that is actually her passive. It's not technically listed here, but she kind of has this passive ability when she's inside the mech. If the mech ever takes critical damage, essentially if it dies, instead of you dying, you actually eject out the back and you're like a different hero, essentially. You get to play as the pilot. The pilot doesn't have any abilities, it has her a light gun that she can shoot and try to build up her mech back again. But the majority of your time you're spending in the mech itself, and the mech's weapon are called fusion cannons. It's kind of the guns you can see right under cockpit there. They're super rapid fire, essentially kind of shotgun. They fire like a blast, a cone attack. They fire really fast, and they do a ton of damage. The big downside to them is they slow you significantly while you're firing them. So if you sort of jump in there and you start shooting people, and everyone sort of scatters, and it's kind of hard to chase them down. But as a tank, as she's a tank role, it's sort of your job to create that space. You get in there and you carve out a space for your team, or you push people back so your team can get in. Her first ability is called boosters, as Arn mentioned. That was the ability we came up with to work well with her cannons. So yes, the boosters on a very low cooldown. They allow her to fly in a similar way, almost like Reinhardt can charge. It's like she charges, but you can actually aim quite a bit. You can turn freely, and also you can just fly up in the air. So you can fly completely freely, but you are forced forward. But allows you to get in close and start unloading your guns and kind of making everyone run away from you. And the cooldown's short enough where then you can just chase after them, and then you just keep pushing people away. She's great at creating that space. She also has an ability called Defense Matrix, which is super great team play move. It also protects her significantly. She basically projects this sort of area, really large area in front of her. You can kind of see it in the picture there. And any enemy projectiles that enter that area, she immediately shoots out of the sky. And there's no limit on or whatever. It's really amazing when you see a Pharah jump up there and ult, and she's shooting all her tiny little rockets down, and you're just like, nope, and it's just shoot them out of the sky. It's amazing. It works on the ultimates and everything. It's really insane. You can also use it to cover allies, which is super fun. If you have a Reaper who's running there and Death Blossom, you can just put it right on him, and you know that you're going to shoot everything down that's trying to take care of him. So it's really amazing for that. Her ultimate's called Self-Destruct. It's sort of another way she can exit the mech. You hit the button and you immediately eject out of the mech, and it starts a timer, and there's a 5-second countdown on it. It's a really loud effect, and you hear a sound and a warning, and everyone has to scatter because after 5 seconds it explodes, and the biggest explosion our game has right now, basically. Huge area. Don't try to run out of the range of this thing, let me tell you. If you fight it, just get out of line of sight if you can, or try to use a May wall or something like that to block it. So this is Diva herself. Like I mentioned, she only has the light gun. She doesn't have any abilities, but she does have the ability as an ultimate to call the mech back if she can live long enough and do some damage. It's very cheap cost ult, so you can get it pretty easily. So if the opponent kills you and you can get back and hide, it's kind of their job to try to hunt you down so you can't get back in and come right back at them. So we'll show you guys what this looks like.
I play to win. Boosters engaged. APM. Nerf this. Suiting up.
Yeah, she did say nerf this. You heard that right.
Yeah.
Raising our APM, right?
We're gonna regret that one.
That's true. I'm going to regret that one.
So that's it, right? That's all the heroes? All right.
Oh, yeah. I think, was there one more? I don't remember.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
So everybody's favorite robot ninja, Genji. We're super excited, and it was really interesting to see everybody's kind of speculation after we kind of showed Genji on the poster last year about all his abilities and stuff like that. So we're going to shed some light on that today. So Genji, as you guys saw in the gameplay trailer from the opening ceremony, is Hanzo's brother. So Hanzo and Genji are both from the Shimada clan, which is basically this ancient ninja clan who is now in the modern day more like a Yakuza gang. They run guns and drugs and all that stuff. And Hanzo was in line to become the successor to leader. Their father is a leader of the Shimada clan, and Genji was a younger brother. But instead, Genji was more like just this playboy. He didn't really care about the family business. He would just go out and squander the family fortune and go party and have fun. And he didn't really care about everything that Hanzo had to endure, which was take on the family business. So when their father died, the elders of the Shimada clan went to Hanzo and said, Hey Hanzo, you got to get your brother in line. He's a huge liability to the family. He's out there causing all kinds of trouble. So basically, Hanzo confronts Genji, and they have this epic battle. And Hanzo basically delivers a fatal blow to Genji and leaves him for dead. Hanzo leaves the Shimada clan, and at that point, Genji's just there at the brink of death when Overwatch finds him. Dr. Angela Ziegler, also known as Mercy, resuscitates him, and they give him a cybernetic body. So Overwatch has been keeping tabs on the Shimada clan for a long time, and they needed that one key thing to take down the clan, and that's where Genji comes in. They wanted Genji in exchange for giving him his new body to help them dismantle the Shimada clan, take him out for good. So at this time, Genji's, he just got a new body. He just had this epic battle with his brother. He's a pretty torn dude. So he's basically this crazy secret weapon that Overwatch just sends in. They take out the Shimada clan, and Genji's mission is over. He basically leaves Overwatch trying to search for his meaning to his new existence. And his journey leads him to Zenyatta. Under Zenyatta's tutelage, he finally becomes one with his dual existence, his cybernetic side and his ninja human side. And now he's basically an adventurer. He roams the earth, having different adventures with members of Overwatch. So a little bit about how we got to Genji. I'm personally like ninjas and samurais and cyber ninjas. They're like my favorite thing to draw. So for Overwatch, the very beginning, we did so many different sketches of, we got to get the cyber ninja in the game, right? So the one that we ended up with that everybody liked was the one on the left you see there was the original Hanzo concept. We called him Hanzo at the time. And we did all these different sketches of different ninja abilities and weapons, like the bow, the katana, shuriken, and like different hooks and chains and all kinds of stuff. And we wanted to cram it all into this one ninja. But one of our design philosophies was we wanted to keep the design focused and have all the essential elements boiled down for that one character. So having all these different weapons didn't really kind of gel together into one hero. So one day, someone was like, why don't we make 2 ninjas? I'm like, yes, more ninjas, the more ninjas better. You can't have
too many ninjas.
Can't have too many ninjas.
That's the rule.
So I still remember in the room with Chris Metzen and the guys, and we came up with this awesome story about these 2 brothers, their fates intertwined, one with a sword, one with a bow. Hanzo, he's actually a master swordsman, probably even better than Genji. But after delivering that final blow to his brother, he puts down the sword for good, and he picks up the bow. And then, Jeff came with the design team came with these awesome bow ideas for Hanzo's storm bow. Whereas Genji, we gave him the sword, but that proved to have some different challenges that Jeff will get into. So without further ado, Jeff will talk a bit about Genji's abilities.
Yeah. So as Arn said, and as he was originally drawn, you guys saw him in the lineup, you didn't see shurikens, even his weapon is shurikens, but you didn't see them in his hand. Because original concept was very simple. It was this guy with a sword, and it's just really scary. He gets up on you and cuts you up. Turns out that's not very easy to design. It's very difficult. It's hard to make a character like that can have a sword like that as a primary weapon, but is also fun for both sides and feels fair to both sides. So then we sort of had this realization, like, well, what if we just made it his ultimate, and then we can really make it the amazing thing we wanted to make, and it's allowed to be frustrating because it's his ultimate, right? That's how it works. So we really got to put all the power into it there. So his ultimate, as you see at the bottom, I guess starting from the bottom, is he pulls out the sword, and it just does a ton of damage. He doesn't get it for, I think he has like 10 seconds right now, so you get it for a decent amount of time, but he can't have it forever, but he just carves everybody up. It's really scary. When you hear him pull that out, everyone's just like, oh my god, panic mode. He normally runs around with a kind of a shuriken setup. He has a shuriken sort of dispenser in his arm, because his arms are actually all, he's full cybernetic body and everything, so they're actually like inside of his arm. So he's a really cool animation where he pulls them out and he's holding 3. And he normally throws them with the left click as the primary fire. He throws them kind of a burst fire, one after another, really fast. They're perfectly accurate, so if you're really good at sniping with these things and are good at leading people, they're really, really deadly. He has an alternate fire where he can instead just throw them all at once, kind of in a fan pattern. It's good for if somebody's really low health, you just want to take them out, or there's a couple targets you want to hit, or big targets in front of you, you can hit them with all 3. It's really strong. His first ability is called Swift Strike. He dashes forward. He has a small blade on his lower back, you can see there. He pulls that out and slashes with it. Everybody he goes through takes damage over time, continuously. And it also allows you to go any direction you're looking, including up. So unlike Tracer, he can jump up on top of buildings or anywhere. You can jump up and slash a fair out of the sky or something. That's really amazing for that. It also has a very interesting property where if you ever get an elimination of any kind, it resets the cooldown on it. So you can go on these tears where you just get on a roll and it's like, I'm unstoppable, especially when you have the sword. It's amazing. He has a second ability called Deflect. Hopefully you guys saw from the opening ceremonies in that trailer. It was amazing. That ability, he has it for a couple seconds, he pulls up his blade, and any enemy projectiles that hit you are instead redirected as your projectiles to your cursor where you're looking. So it's amazing that you get a bunch of people shoot at you and you just kind of focus on one person and deflect everything to that one person. It's super fun. It works on ultimates. We've had times where Azaria comes up on ults and the guy swift strikes and deflects it back at her team. It's just, the possibilities are so fun with this thing. He also has a couple passives. He can wall climb, much like his brother Hanzo. He also has a double jump. He does like an extra flip out of the air, so he's really mobile in that way, especially if he can get on those kill streaks like I mentioned with Swift Strike. So without further ado, let's see what it looks like in game.
身を捨てても妙理は捨てず 水のように流れ 上等だ Parts the river. Irrigation. これは数だ
If you guys get a chance to play, let me tell you, if you have a Widowmaker sniping on the enemy team, you get deflect snipe shot right back to her head. It's the most satisfying thing you can do in the game.
Feels so good.
So good.
Farrah Rocket Barrage is up there.
Poor Farrah, she always gets picked on with a Rocket Barrage.
I also like when the enemy team has a Bastion.
Oh, yeah.
You got somebody just going nuts. And I don't like to aim back at the Bastion. I like to aim at one of his teammates.
Totally.
And Bastion will just feed into the Genji and just kill some poor teammate. Stop shooting. That's all you have to do. You guys like the new heroes? Awesome. We had a ton of fun making them. I really hope that everybody here gets a chance to play them. We'd love feedback on them as well. So anytime you see everybody working the Overwatch booth as a Blizzard employee, give them your thoughts. These are brand new heroes. We need feedback on them. They really changed the way the game is played. We're excited to see the game evolve a little bit. Like D.Va, for example, and Genji are both tremendous counters to Widowmaker. So if you're concerned, like, oh, sniping is really strong in the game right now, D.Va with her defense barrier ability and her ability to just boost up,
You can use both at the same time. So you just fly right at her with that up, and she's like, okay, I don't know.
Can't you actually, like, push people too?
Worst case, just send up the thing and blow it up with the ult.
Right.
Take that Widowmaker out. But we'd love to hear what you guys have to say about these. Before we get into Q&A, and we want to leave as much time as possible for Q&A, there is a panel tomorrow called The World of Overwatch. No, we're not announcing an MMO.
Maybe we should have named that something else.
No, that's not what we didn't name the panel. It's called The World of Overwatch. It's going to feature Chris Metzen, Michael Chu, and Bill Petras. And there's a lot of awesome stuff. So if you guys care about story and lore, tomorrow morning, I think it's at 11:30 a.m. right here on this stage, that is the panel for you. There's also going to be some really cool announcements and never before seen stuff. So I highly recommend, if you're a story person, coming to that panel tomorrow. Now, we're happy to take questions. We'll answer as many as we can in the time we have remaining. We'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. You're all supposed to just shout them out at the same time. No, I think there's a microphone over there.
Okay, what's your first?
More Genji.
Beta keys.
Oh.
I thought you said manatees. I'm like, and then instantly my mind is racing. Like, I think Arn could come up with a manatee character.
Right.
Oddities. We have a Winston. He's from the moon.
Right. Manator, his friend.
All right, are we ready with questions?
Okay. Hi, I am happy you guys announced the console versions of the game, but there's no Mac version announced right now. I wanted to know if you were going to make one, and if you're not, why not?
It's a great question. As you know, Blizzard has supported Macs in the past, and we've always had a rich history of that. Currently, with the technology behind Macs and the way Overwatch runs, it's just too challenging for us at this point to support it. And our focus right now is entirely on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4.
Hey guys, thanks for making the game, first of all. Quick question. Have you thought about adding different modes into the game where you could lock it down so you couldn't switch a character, or maybe 3 or 4 times, or not at all, different modes?
I mean, we're experimenting with new modes all the time, and we have a bunch of internal stuff we play with. Some is very hit or miss. With our hero lineup, it can be pretty tricky to do new modes. I mean, we've tried a lot of classic modes. You guys have probably seen a lot of other games like Capture the Flag, but it's been, that one in particular, and as an example, has been really tricky because, like, was Tracer allowed to carry the flag? That seems kind of insane. Like, can she blink? Maybe she can't blink, but then that seems weird. Like, so it's stuff like that. I mean, so we're looking at other modes possibly in the future. I mean, we plan on supporting the game as long as people are playing it. So we'll definitely have more surprises down the line.
Hello. My question is, because the game is made for consoles and controllers, are you going to have a company make a controller that works for PC?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can use a controller, a gamepad right now on PC. Actually, right now in the beta, it's supported, fully supported, and there's full Rumble support and everything in there. So it's.
I was kind of hoping for maybe a specific one for just the game.
Oh, I don't know.
It's a cool idea.
Yeah,
it's a cool idea.
Great idea. We would love.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'd buy one.
Hello. Most characters have like their utility ability on E and their movement ability on Shift. Like Junkrat, he puts down his mind and moves. Reinhardt, he charges on Shift. But you guys flip that for Mei, where like the wall that actually moves people is on E, but her invincibility, her ice block, is on Shift. Are you guys planning on maybe keeping the status quo, or are you guys flipping it up a bit?
I think, yeah, I mean, she doesn't have a movement ability per se. I mean, I guess her shift makes her not able to move. Maybe that's a movement ability. I guess in the same way that Bastion's shift is his movement ability, in that he kind of locks himself down. So that's kind of where the parallel was drawn, I think. But yeah, I mean, if that's great feedback, and if we get that kind of stuff often, in the past we've actually swapped a few buttons around. I don't remember which ones. Jeff has actually pushed me. It was Roadhog, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Roadhog it used to be the other way around, and Jeff was just like, "You must do it every day. You got to change this. All right, all right."
Well, I kept trying to hook people, and then he'd just start huffing the thing. Right. Not good.
So there's still possibility, but that's great feedback.
One other thing, a question that comes up a lot about the way that the keys are bound, you can totally rebind your keys.
Absolutely.
And then a feature that we want to add that has been requested a ton is eventually, I don't know exactly when we're going to get to it, but eventually we're going to add a per hero key binding.
Yeah.
So you can switch your keys around. Like if you just want, Tracer's shift to be her E, you could just switch it for Tracer.
We also want to add per hero options to that as well. So you can have, because I know a lot of people have trouble playing Widow because they're used to toggle zoom instead of hold zoom. So we'll have that kind of option as well.
Hi, I've been playing the game at home, and for all the people who are watching at home, what you announced earlier today about buying the game and getting the heroes, I just wanted to confirm is that if you buy the retail release, do you get all the heroes now and forthcoming, or do you have to buy all the heroes after the 21 that you get?
Well, right now there are only 21 heroes in Overwatch, and you get them all. And that's all we're focused on right now. We're really focused on the remaining content and features that we want to add for our spring launch. And at this time, we feel like the 21 heroes is really robust. The game plays really well. It's sort of a future decision for us of whether or not Overwatch supports more heroes, and if so, in what way, shape, or form will those be introduced to the players? We want to see the game, not only in beta, but in launch, be healthy and not be overwhelming to people first before we even cross that bridge of what new heroes are coming down the line.
Yeah, hi. Just a follow-up to that question. I love the design of the characters. Almost every character feels unique. Every situation is different. You can switch between them. What goes into that design? Do you guys look to put in characters that can bring a new element to the genre or the game? So what is the initial design behind that?
Well, from a design perspective, absolutely. We're trying to create new design space and design opportunities for the gameplay side as well. But I mean, the concept guys are half the time they're just drawing awesome stuff, and we're just looking at it like, that's amazing. We got to put that in somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, the ideas really come from anywhere. Sometimes these guys have a cool idea. Sometimes we have a cool idea. So whatever is popular and whatever the team is really loving is what we kind of push up to the surface.
Plus ninjas.
And
more ninjas.
3 ninjas?
Oh. Could it be done? They said it couldn't be done.
Sort of a follow-up question to that one. Were there any elements, either aesthetically or gameplay-wise, that you guys played around with but weren't really able to make work?
Oh man, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of almost the mantra of our studio. I mean, we're all about iteration. We try so many things. I mean, you guys have already seen, last year we announced, and Bastion had one ult, and even now he's got a different ult, and that was just one thing that you guys have seen. But what you didn't see is in between those two, he had like 5 other ults that we tried. Yeah. He was throwing grenades up in there one time. He was literally flying around at one point. It was
shooting
insane.
through walls.
Yeah. He was a little crazy, but all kinds of crazy stuff.
Genji's katana too. Having the katana on primary was fascinating because we would do a play test and he would just murder everybody with it.
Genji's like, this feels great, I love it.
Yeah, and only the person who played Genji was like, it's the best thing ever, and everybody else would complain. So we would retune it, and then I remember having it tuned to these points where it was like, you're hacking on people, and it's like a couple seconds later, you're like, I think Genji needs a break and stretch a little bit, and then he's gonna hack on people before they die. So that was another one where we just had to scrap it.
Yeah, at one point I think he even like hung onto the wall and stuff, and then you see these Genjis just hanging out up there, and then they kind of drop on you and start slashing at you, shoot him in the face.
That was fun.
Hello, my name is Belf Druid for the win on Twitter, and I was wondering how modder friendly will this game be? Like, say, if I want to make custom skins, custom gameplay, custom maps, would I be allowed to do that, or is it just you play like this?
So Blizzard's studio philosophy, I think if you look back in the history of Blizzard, we support modding wholeheartedly. We're very big believers in it. World of Warcraft had its customizable user interface, and we saw some incredible creations come from that. Dota would not exist if it were not for Warcraft 3's moddable map system, which we thought was fantastic, and they've added that to StarCraft 2 as well. So philosophically, we are absolutely believers in modding, and we would like to figure out how to get more of that happening with Overwatch. Right now, our focus is on our spring launch, and I do not think we'll be able to have a lot of modability to the game by the time we launch. But it is a value for us to keep pursuing it. A big question is, how do we make our tools and our code accessible to people and really nice and sort of a good player-facing version of our tools. So it's something that we would like to explore, probably not by launch, but we're going to be supporting this game for a long time, and we absolutely believe in modding.
Hey, just before I ask my question, I'm not a gamer. I'm a Blizzard gamer, and that's 1,000% because you supported Max from day one. So that's important. So I'm curious, as you diversify above 21 heroes, like in WoW, kind of one thing that happened is that like people started saying, oh, there's sort of like this homogenization of roles and abilities, and like, is a Destro lock that different from a Fire Mage? And like, as you expand that cast, how do you continue to keep each character unique?
Actually, if you don't mind, like we feel pretty good about the 21 heroes right now. I feel like we're at one of our limits where 21 feels fantastic. They feel very unique and very diverse. There's also the read of the game. If you're like a new player coming into it, just do you know what's going on? Do you know what the other guy's doing on the other end of the barrel down there? So at this point, we're pretty committed to 21, and we haven't thought much beyond that. But we have explored, what might exist with new heroes. When like last year we had 12, and we added 9 over the course of the year. So you can speak to like what adding those extra 9 was like.
Sure. I mean, like I just answered in the last question, we're trying stuff all the time, and a lot of stuff doesn't work, and so we're trying new stuff and throwing stuff out all the time. But there's a lot of times we'll have a really cool idea, and it doesn't quite work maybe just for that hero, but we really like the idea, so we kind of save it off. So we do have some sort of like almost like this palette of really cool ideas out there still that feel very unique. But I mean, I feel like personally, there's a lot of design space to explore still. I don't think we're in any danger in that way. But I think our 21 here complement each other very well.
Hi, I was thinking of like Tracer here. Are we gonna get like an alternate version of her, or sorry, one sec. Like a different skin? Because some people like her, or another person likes the Genji with a male or female for like different upgrades and everything. Because some people just like a certain character or. Well, sorry, it's kind of had the thought that I lost it. But that's kind of that theme. When I'm going to be able to see different versions of them, like the Disney heroes, like for like a male in that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So right now, as we announced the Origins edition of the game, it's the first skins that we've announced. So we are excited to see different versions of the characters. We haven't thought about changing the genders of the characters necessarily. Like if you look at the Tracer skin, for example, that we did, it's Slipstream Tracer, which is a story about how she originally went through that accident that turned her into this time warping adventurer. So out the gate, I think we want as many of our skins as possible to sort of support the lore and the backstory. So we haven't gotten into switching alternate versions or genders of the characters at this point.
Yeah, I think we'll leave the gender bending to the cosplayers. There's a male Zarya walking around somewhere. I don't know if you guys saw that. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So I was wondering, when will the new characters be released for the beta?
Well, I think that all has to do with how much time the development team spends at the Hilton bar later tonight. So, I mean, most likely sometime next week, probably.
Hi. Is that good? Okay, sorry. Now that the game is being released for PS4 and Xbox One, have you looked into doing split-screen co-op for when they're released?
Split-screen co-op would be awesome.
Yeah.
We don't have plans to support it at this time, but it's a killer idea.
You spoke earlier about rebinding keys and other customization options that you were going to add, like character-specific things. I wanted to ask specifically about changes to the UI and how the game looks. Will you be able to turn off the UI entirely, scale down things like WoW, change your FOV? I think you can do that one.
Actually, a lot of the things you mentioned you can already do. You can turn off the UI entirely. You hit Alt-Z, just like World of Warcraft, and that works. We added the FOV slider based on your feedback. We heard you loud and clear. And then UI is an interesting one. We don't plan to have a fully customizable UI like World of Warcraft, but we have an amazing UI designer by the name of Jeremy Craig. And his belief is that we could add more UI options rather than having a completely customizable UI, add certain options to certain features. So an example that he gives is that there's a lot of desire for changing the reticle. Some people just want to change the shape or the color. It's something we believe in. I don't know when we're going to get to it. It's not something we want to drop everything we're doing right now and make a whole reticle system, but we're not opposed to it either. So it's something we believe in, but probably on a per feature basis in the UI. But we'll keep reading the feedback and suggestions and see what we end up with.
Thank you.
This will be our last question.
So you've talked about balancing characters, which shows some level of esports. And my question really is, are you going to be working on making a league for console and or the PC versions?
Well, we're going to support esport and console together. We haven't announced what the big plans for Overwatch are in terms of esport, but we really look at our three platforms as equal, and we believe in all of them. We know that there are players of amazing skill levels across all three platforms, and when it comes to esport, we want to make sure that there is support given not only to PC but to console as well. No official plans at this point. That's coming at a future date. We have a lot in store for esport in the future. All right. Well, that's it for us, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Please
everybody.
come tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. We'll see you guys later.
Guys.
Have fun. Go play the game.
Thank you for attending the Overwatch What's New panel. Up next, contests.